Friends, after many years of dreaming about it, we finally made it to Prague. Some say this is the most beautiful city in Europe, and we had to see that for ourselves. In this video, we'll share what we've learned about Prague's top attractions, the best way to move around, and a few practical tips you need to know before visiting Prague. One thing I wasn't expecting about Prague was how crowded this city would be. Friends, I had no idea that so many people visit Prague. In my opinion, driving around the city isn't an option, especially since the public transportation system works so well, reaching all the main attractions in Prague. The best way to move around Prague is by metro, bus and tram. Public transportation in this gorgeous city is safe, fast and affordable. Here are your options regarding public transportation tickets. If you're spending a few days in Prague and plan to navigate it by metro, buses and trams, I recommend getting a pass that covers your entire stay. You can choose between a daily, a 72-hour or a monthly pass if you're staying longer. These tickets include unlimited rides on all public transportation means and only have to be validated or activated once. Besides the metro, buses and trams, these passes also include the ride on the funicular to the Petrin Tower. We have a full guide about public transportation in Prague on our channel. You'll also find it linked at the end of this video. You can buy public transportation tickets at these yellow machines, through the Litačka app, at the ticket offices, or at these contactless machines. Ride-sharing apps are also a good option in Prague, especially after midnight when public transportation stops working. Bolt and Uber are both available in Prague, the rates are quite decent and they work with the same apps you usually use at home. Now let's talk about what you can visit in Prague. The entire city is an enormous piece of art with stunning architecture, hidden gems, cobblestone streets and Gothic towers. However, like any other big city, it's also full of tourist traps. In the next part, I'm going to tell you what we visited and loved the most, and I'll share the costs and our tips on these attractions. Probably the most important attraction in Prague, the castle is definitely worth paying a visit. Access inside the castle's perimeter is free, but if you want to visit the attractions within it, you will have to get a ticket. Here are your options. We chose the main circuit, which includes the Old Royal Palace, St. George's Basilica, the Golden Lane and St. Vita's Cathedral. It really was a cool experience, definitely worth the money. Here are a few tips. If you're visiting the castle at noon, you can also watch the guard change ceremony. However, expect crowds. There will be a lot of people watching it, and most of them will enter the castle afterward, so keep that in mind when you plan your visit. On some websites, you might find the so-called skip-the-line tickets that cost more money. Just know that there is no line skipping. You enter the perimeter of the castle, which is free and there are no lines, and from there you scan your ticket to enter different buildings. So there is no skip-the-line access. The only lines you might see are those at ticket offices and they can't be skipped. However, there are several such offices, and if one of them is crowded, you can just go to the next one. Not worth paying extra for skip-the-line tickets. There are restrooms available at the castle and they're actually very decent. They are free of charge, but there may be queues, so have that in mind too. Don't wait until the last minute. Save a couple of hours for this stunning attraction because there's a lot to see and many photos to be taken. Charles Bridge is beautiful, but it's also very crowded day and night. If you want to see it empty, you'll have to wake up early in the morning and get there before everyone else. At the two ends of the bridge there are two Gothic towers, the Lesser Town Bridge Tower and the Old Town Bridge Tower. Both of them can be climbed, here's how much it costs. In Prague there are several towers that can be climbed for a nice view from above. As as they all cost money, we decided to just pick one, and that was Petrin Tower. Inspired by the Eiffel Tower in Paris, the Petrin Tower is located on a hill and offers amazing views of Prague. You are free to climb the hill on foot, but you can also opt for a funicular or a bus. The area surrounding the tower is pretty amazing, take some time to explore it too. We went to the top of Petrin Tower and loved these stunning views of Prague. This may just be the prettiest square you've ever seen. We love the beautiful buildings, the astronomical clock and the Gothic tower, which you can also climb. About the astronomical clock, it puts on a little show every day, be there at noon if you want to see it. While in Prague, you must check out the dancing houses, take some photos and maybe even do a little dance in front of them. Completely by mistake, we stumbled upon this secluded garden where we got to enjoy some quiet time in the shade of the trees and meet this little guy. If you have the time, make sure to check it out. Another popular spot in Prague and a symbol of freedom, Lennon Wall attracts everyone who wants to write a message on it, paint graffiti, or simply enjoy the art. I've seen a lot of reels telling people not to waste money to see the libraries at Strahov Monastery, and I'm so glad I followed my gut and visited them anyway. Indeed, you can't enter these halls on a normal tour, and there's a little queue to take pictures, but the libraries are so beautiful, it's definitely worth it. At Strahov Monastery, there's also a beautiful church you will love, and a restaurant and brewery where you can enjoy a lovely lunch. You'll find lots and lots of things to do in Wenceslas Square. There are many stores, all kinds of bars and restaurants, and it's a nice area to walk around. We did stop for a quick drink at one of these terraces, but honestly it was a bit overpriced for what they offered. In Prague there are many sculptures created by Czech artist David Černý, and it's a fun activity to try and see as many as possible. Here are some of the statues we tracked down. People line up and even wait at this red light to walk on the narrowest street in Prague. We did it too. Not the best experience in my life, I must say. I'm not even sure we can call it a street, as it's more like a narrow entrance to a restaurant. Check it out if you want, it's free. One of my favorite activities was the original Pilsner tour, where we learned all about brewing and the history of Pilsner in an unconventional sensorial multimedia experience. It's an amazing tour, make sure you check it out. Another awesome experience was the National Bank exhibition. Designed to educate people on finances, this interactive exhibition is a great way to learn about Czech money, economy and history. It's a fun activity even for kids, and it's free, so make sure to include it in your plans. are a few practical tips I wish I'd known before traveling to Prague. Maybe they don't like having these many tourists around, or perhaps it was us, but we've encountered many rude servers. Eye-rolling, snapping and snarky remarks were all part of the experience. I had been warned about this before my trip, so I didn't take it personally. You shouldn't either. If your waiter is unfriendly, you always have the option to not leave a tip. But how much do we tip in Prague anyway? Rude waiters will rarely ask for a tip, but there are plenty of nice servers who might deserve a little appreciation. In Prague, you can add a tip to your card, and they encourage you to leave 10% for satisfying service and 15% for excellent service. In my opinion, 10% is enough, but you do you. At many restrooms, you will be required to pay, so make sure to carry cash. At some restaurants, if you eat there, you receive a code on your receipt, and with that you can use the restroom for free. There aren't many public toilets, and even if you find one, you will be required to pay. To get euros, all you have to do is find a bank ATM and get cash. But very important, the ATM must belong to a bank. These are bank ATMs with little or no fees, while these are not bank ATMs with pretty expensive fees. Don't exchange money with random people on the street, as they are scammers and that money either isn't real or they will give you an unfair rate. Just find a bank ATM, they are everywhere, and get cash there. Wear comfortable shoes, because this is what you'll be walking on most of the time. Prague is far from being a cheap destination, and you can save some good money if you book a hotel outside the city center. Just make sure there is public transportation available nearby. Everywhere you look, you will find these ice cream-filled cone-shaped cakes. Try them if you must, but know that there's nothing traditionally Czech about them. They are inspired by the Hungarian kurtos kolač, and I say inspired because they're not at all as good as the original. You can have the real deal in Hungary or Transylvania, and it's way better than what you will eat in Prague. Don't ride public transportation without a ticket, because they will fine you. In our guide, we explained everything you need to know about riding the metro, bus and tram in Prague. Check it out and travel like a local. Thank you for watching our videos about Prague. If you haven't seen our public transportation guide, check it out next and learn how to navigate Prague by metro, bus and tram. Stay tuned for more tips and tricks. Enjoy your trip!